that provides jobs and opportunity for people in the community. It's always great to be back in southwestern Ontario. What I'm hearing in Hamilton today is exactly what I hear everywhere I go in this country. People are working harder than ever, but they're just not getting ahead. Everything keeps getting more expensive, and there's often not enough left at the end of the month. And that Justin Trudeau is making things worse. Now, in fairness, there are some people who are better off with him as Prime Minister. Not everyone is falling behind. The wealthy and the well-connected are doing just fine. When Loblaws called, Trudeau jumped at the chance to hand one of the wealthiest corporations in Canada $12 million to buy new fridges. He was prepared to fork over $18 million to build an airport in Cape Breton for members of a private golf course, and only backed down when taxpayers complained. He also wrote off millions of dollars in taxpayer-funded loans to the Irving family, one of Canada's wealthiest. And back in February, in the middle of the SNC-Lavalin corruption scandal, he handed BlackBerry a check for $40 million. And when the CEO was asked whether or not his company needed this generous taxpayer handout, his answer was short and sweet: no. That's why today I'm so happy to announce that as Prime Minister, I will eliminate at least $1.5 billion in taxpayer handouts to wealthy executives, shareholders, and foreign companies. We will keep that money from going to the wealthy and well-connected who need it the least. And we will put it back in the pockets of hardworking Canadians who need it the most. C'est pourquoi je suis content d'annoncer aujourd'hui que comme Premier ministre, je vais éliminer au moins de 1,5 milliard de dollars en subventions aux riches dirigeants d'entreprises, aux actionnaires et aux entreprises étrangères. Nous allons empêcher que cet argent aille aux riches et aux gens bien connectés qui en ont le moins besoin. Et nous allons le remettre dans les poches des Canadiens et des Canadiennes qui travaillent fort et qui en ont le plus besoin. I will make sure that that $1.5 billion goes back into your pockets, for you, for your kids, and for your retirement. We will cancel handouts to wealthy corporate executives, shareholders, and foreign companies, so that your morning bus commute will cost you a little less, so that hockey registration and dance lessons for the kids will be more affordable, so you can put more money away for their post-secondary education, and so you can keep more of your hard-earned money. Nous allons annuler les subventions aux riches dirigeants d'entreprises, aux actionnaires et aux entreprises étrangères, pour que ça va coûter moins cher quand vous empruntez le transport en commun, pour que ça vous coûte moins cher pour inscrire vos enfants au hockey ou à des cours de danse, pour que vous puissiez mettre plus d'argent de côté pour les études de vos enfants, et pour que vous puissiez garder plus de votre argent. We'll find this $1.5 billion by conducting a thorough review of all business subsidy programs and rooting out the programs that leave Canadians with no benefits. A new Conservative government will also review innovation programs to make sure they support Canadian companies with patents, technologies, and economic benefits that remain in Canada. I want to make it clear that regional economic development agencies are here to stay. In fact, we will strengthen them. We need these agencies to focus on real economic development and on helping small and medium-sized businesses to grow. Unlike Justin Trudeau, I will make sure all regional development agencies are led by ministers from the regions they support. Our review will be focused solely on eliminating grants for those who don't need the help, because that's what this election is all about. Who do you trust to put more money in your pockets so you can get ahead? Our campaign to help Canadians get ahead is already in full swing, and I've already announced several new measures that a new Conservative government will take to make life more affordable. Notre examen de ces subventions aux grandes entreprises visera uniquement à éliminer les subventions aux entreprises qui n'ont pas besoin d'aide. Parce que c'est le choix de cette élection. À qui faites-vous confiance pour mettre plus d'argent dans vos poches pour améliorer votre quotidien? Notre campagne pour aider les Canadiens et les Canadiennes à améliorer leur quotidien fonctionne. Et j'ai déjà annoncé plusieurs nouvelles mesures que le nouveau gouvernement conservateur va prendre pour rendre la vie plus abordable. For every Canadian, we will introduce the universal tax cut so that you can keep more of your hard-earned dollars. For families across this country, we will introduce a green public transit tax credit, saving hundreds, potentially thousands of dollars for families that rely on public transit to get from point A to point B. For new parents, we will make maternity benefits tax-free, saving you up to $4,000. Our children's fitness tax credit will let you claim up to $1,000 in sports activities for you, for your kids, for the children, and the children's arts and learning tax credit will let you claim up to $500 in arts and academic-related activities. And we're boosting the RESP to make it more affordable to send your child to post-secondary school. Now, things have never been better off for friends of Justin Trudeau and the companies with the Prime Minister's office on speed dial. The millionaires working for billion-dollar corporations can get this government to do pretty much anything. Just ask SNC-Lavalin. The real problem is that Trudeau thinks he can spend your money better than you can. And it is time for a new conservative government that is focused on you. I have a plan for every Canadian to get ahead. Le vrai problème est que Trudeau pense qu'il peut dépenser votre argent mieux que vous. Il est temps d'avoir un nouveau gouvernement conservateur qui vous traite en priorité. J'ai un plan pour que tous les Canadiens et Canadiennes améliorent leur quotidien. Avec les conservateurs, ce sera plus pour vous dès maintenant. It means more money to pay the bills, to buy the groceries, to save up for your kids' education, or maybe even a family vacation. More money for seniors on fixed incomes, more for recent graduates and new Canadians who have just entered the job market. More money in your pocket, more money for you, for your kids, for your retirement. You shouldn't have to be a billionaire to get your government's attention. Instead, you deserve a government that knows how hard you work, understands how much you already pay, and has a plan to help. A government and a Prime Minister whose first priority will be to help you get ahead. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Je suis prêt pour vos questions. Happy to take your questions.
Good morning, Mr. Scheer. Katie Simpson, CBC News. Can I just get a quick clarification? Is it $1.5 billion annually or just $1.5 billion in general?
It is annually. There are estimations that put the amount of money that the Government of Canada spends on these types of programs as high as, some indicate as high as $7 billion. And we believe with this type of review, establishing these types of criteria, we can save Canadian taxpayers about at least $1.5 billion every year.
So my question is, if you haven't conducted the review yet, how did you get to the number of $1.5 billion?
Well, you know, just running through a few of the examples already, we can see that that it wouldn't take long to get there. We have multi-million-dollar loans to the Irving family, which the government wrote off, $12 million freezers to Loblaws, $40 million for BlackBerry, $49 million for the Canada-Kuwait Petrochemical Company. We have the $950 million for superclusters, which are not evaluated for any type of performance criteria. There's $1.6 billion of taxpayers' money to the oil and gas industry that they didn't ask for on the eve of an election. So as you can see, it won't take long to get to that type of number of savings. Oui, c'est un montant annuel. Il y a des estimations qui montrent que le gouvernement dépense à peu près 7 milliards de dollars. Alors, on parle de trouver les épargnes de 1,5 milliard de dollars. Il y a beaucoup d'exemples que je peux nommer, les prêts des millions de dollars à la famille Irving, 950 millions pour les superclusters avec aucune façon d'évaluer les programmes, 1,6 milliard de dollars pour le secteur pétrolier qu'une représentante de le secteur n'a jamais demandé pour les fonds comme ça. Alors, nous sommes très confiants qu'on peut trouver 1,5 milliard.
So my follow-up question is, those were all one-time payments to various, whether it's corporations or to what you listed there, but they're not built into the budget. So I'm still not quite sure how you get to the $1.5 billion because those were one-time funding announcements.
Well, we get to the $1.5 billion by establishing the criteria that government programs in the future will not go to wealthy executives to line the pockets of shareholders or for foreign companies. And we believe that by establishing these types of criteria, the types of programs that many of these funds were delivered under would not be going to those types of companies, and that's where we come up with the savings.
Louis Blouin de Radio-Canada. Monsieur Scheer, il y a des craintes pour une récession à l'échelle mondiale. Comment pouvez-vous garantir que ce que vous annoncez aujourd'hui ne va pas nuire à l'emploi au pays si vous décidez de couper comme ça des subventions aux entreprises?
Exactement, c'est une bonne question parce qu'on sait avec Justin Trudeau, il a géré le gouvernement avec aucune flexibilité s'il y a des temps difficiles dans l'avenir. Et c'est exactement les sortes de programmes qui n'aident pas à garder ou protéger ou créer les emplois. Ça, c'est les prêts qui étaient les subventions qui ne protègent pas les emplois, ils allons à les hauts dirigeants des compagnies, les actionnaires ou les compagnies étrangères. Alors, notre revue va cibler les sortes de programmes qui créent aucun emploi pour les Canadiens et qui seulement aident les compagnies très riches.
Monsieur Scheer, hier, vous avez dit que vous allez défendre l'intérêt national pour votre projet de pipeline qui passerait par le Québec. Si le Québec défend son autonomie, s'il n'y a pas d'acceptabilité sociale au Québec, allez-vous abandonner le projet, oui ou non?
Comme j'ai toujours dit, je vais défendre les projets qui sont dans l'intérêt national. Je respecte les champs de compétences provinciales, je respecte aussi les champs de compétences fédérales. Mais vous savez comment ça fonctionne. J'ai proposé une idée, une proposition, le corridor énergétique, qui va créer une situation gagnant-gagnant avec le gouvernement de Québec. Je vais travailler en manière de collaboration, non pas de confrontation. Et je sais que, comme les autres Canadiens, les Québécois préfèrent acheter le pétrole canadien au lieu de le pétrole des États-Unis ou de l'Algérie. Et aussi, les gens de Québec savent très, très bien que c'est préférable de transporter le pétrole par oléoduc, sur les chemins de fer.
La question, c'est est-ce que vous seriez prêt à l'imposer?
Je vais travailler en collaboration avec le gouvernement de Québec pour assurer que les aspects environnementaux, les consultations avec les Premières Nations sont respectés. Mais je sais que les Québécoises préfèrent d'acheter le pétrole canadien au lieu du pétrole des États-Unis. Sure. So I've always said that I will defend and promote projects that are in the national interest. We have respect for provincial areas of jurisdiction, and the other side of that coin is that we also have respect for federal areas of jurisdiction. But this can be accomplished in a manner of collaboration with the province of Quebec. And I know that Quebecers, like Canadians, would prefer to buy their oil and gas from Canadians, not from American companies or from Algeria. There is no reason why we can't be energy independent in this country when we have so many resources available to Canadians. We don't want to be sending our consumer dollar to the American economy or to other economies. And I know also that Quebecers prefer that oil and gas is transported through pipelines and not on railways. We've seen the types of tragedies that have happened in the past, and I'm prepared to work with the government of Quebec to establish the energy corridor, which will address these types of concerns around environmental issues, around consultations with Indigenous Canadians. It will create a win-win scenario for the province of Quebec. Il va créer une situation gagnant-gagnant pour la province de Québec et les autres provinces, le reste du Canada. It will allow Western Canadian energy to be transported to Eastern Canadian markets. It will also allow Quebec to share its hydroelectricity with other regions as well.
Mr. Scheer, good morning. Omar Secharina, CTV News. A week into this campaign, no Conservative premiers have appeared alongside you. And Ontario's Premier Doug Ford says he's too busy to do so, even though you're heading back to so-called Ford country later today. I'm wondering, why aren't any of these Conservative premiers showing up next to you?
You know, we have a great message. We are campaigning. We've got volunteers from every walk of life, from every background, coming up, helping us out on our campaigns. We've got great support at local levels with all different types of public figures, and I'm excited at the type of momentum our campaign is generating. And I look forward to the results on October 21st when the people in Ontario do federally what they did in Ontario, which is replace a scandal-plagued Liberal government that has run massive deficits, raised taxes, engaged in corrupt practices. They will get rid of that and bring in a government that respects the taxpayer's dollar.
To be clear, you still haven't answered why Conservative premiers aren't appearing alongside with you, or haven't until now. So which premiers will during the campaign? Which Conservative premiers have committed to campaigning alongside you, and when?
The focus here is about supporting our candidates, getting our message out to people all over this country, in every region. We're going to win seats in provinces that haven't had Conservative premiers in a while. We're going to win seats in every region in this country. We're hearing every day from people who voted Liberal in 2015, disappointed with what they got, and are voting Conservative in 2019. That's what this campaign is all about. I'm focused on getting my positive message for making life more affordable out to Canadians so that they understand how a Conservative government will make sure that they get ahead. Oui, alors on va gagner des sièges dans partout les régions, même dans les provinces qui n'ont pas des premiers ministres conservateurs. Notre concentration, c'est d'assurer que notre message positif, de rendre la vie plus abordable, résonne avec les Canadiens, et je suis très confiant qu'on va réussir.
Mr. Scheer, Mike Liquiteur with Global National. So far in this first week, you've announced $9.8 billion worth of programs. Today, $1.5 billion worth of cuts. The deficit stands at $15 billion. So if you're still promising to balance the books, can we expect the rest of this campaign to be all about where the cuts will be?
You can expect for the rest of the campaign that we will continue to make announcements about how a Conservative government will make life more affordable so we can leave more money in the pockets of Canadians so that they can get ahead. We'll also show Canadians exactly how we will accomplish the goals of returning back to balanced budgets so that the government stops borrowing money. Justin Trudeau has added billions of dollars to the national debt, which means more and more of your tax dollar is going to pay the interest to banks and bondholders. So it's important that we get back to balanced budgets. We'll do that over a responsible period of time, a 5-year period, and we will show Canadians exactly how we're going to do that. Oui, c'est essentiel que le gouvernement équilibre le budget parce que Justin Trudeau a augmenté la dette nationale des milliards et les milliards de dollars et le résultat est que plus en plus de votre argent allait à les banques pour l'intérêt sur la dette. Alors, on va montrer aux Canadiens exactement comment on va équilibrer le budget au même temps qu'on va couper les impôts pour rendre la vie plus abordable.
So just as a follow-up, with today's announcement, does that mean if that you're elected Prime Minister, that you won't give any money to Canadian corporations to help them out?
Well, as I said, we estimate, there are estimations, analysis that shows that the government spends about as high as $7 billion on the types of programs to assist Canadian companies expand and grow here in Canada. What we believe is we can eliminate about $1.5 billion of that, at least $1.5 billion of that, if we establish the criteria that we will no longer give money to rich corporations, highly profitable corporations that goes to executive bonuses or that leave the country. We believe that by establishing that criteria, we can continue to support things like regional development agencies and the types of innovative partnerships that protect strategic industries in our country. But we can eliminate about $1.5 billion of the wasteful spending that's going to the well-connected and put that money back in the pockets of hardworking Canadians. Oui, alors il y a des estimations qui estiment que le gouvernement dépense à peu près 7 milliards de dollars et nous croyons qu'on peut éliminer 1,5 milliard de dollars avec les critères qui vont assurer que l'argent des contribuables ne vont pas à les hauts dirigeants des compagnies très profitables ou qui quittent le pays, qui ne créent aucun emploi ici au Canada. Il y a beaucoup de dépenses avec aucune évaluation, avec aucun critère. Et il y a des exemples, 1,6 milliard de dollars à une industrie qui n'a pas le demandé. Alors, avec les critères comme ça, nous sommes confiants qu'on peut éliminer le gaspillage dans ce dossier.
Mr. Scheer, John Iveson, National Post. In 2004, your first federal campaign, you campaigned on eliminating corporate welfare. When the Conservative government was elected, it didn't do that. Why should we, or Canadians, believe you now when a Conservative government didn't act on its promise last time?
Well, this campaign is about what a Conservative government will do in the future. This is our commitment. We believe that this is essential to ensure that government dollars is not wasted on highly profitable companies that is used to pay executive bonuses or line the pocket of shareholders, or for companies that don't create or protect jobs here in Canada. By establishing this type of criteria in these government programs, we can save taxpayers $1.5 billion and put that money into measures that make life more affordable for them.
Good morning, Mr. Scheer. Sylvia Lembe, CHCH News Hamilton. We've experienced lots of hate crime in our region specifically. What would a Conservative government do to promote diversity?
Well, a Conservative government will, of course, promote programs that celebrate Canada's multicultural aspect, that tackle people who promote hate online or in any type of forum, and that means ensuring that our police agencies have the tools they need, especially at the RCMP level, if we are looking at groups in particular that spread hateful messages across the country. And of course, our government will continue to support those initiatives to do just that.
Hi, Mr. Scheer, Janice Dixon, the Globe and Mail. The Liberals say they're only submitting big-ticket items from their platform, and the independent reports won't come out until the full platform comes out, so they're not releasing them as they go. What's your reaction to that? And would you commit to the next election doing the same and submitting your announcements as you go.
Well, of course, we're very pleased with the way that our campaign is unfolding, and we believe that by including the costing at the moment of the announcement, it's better for Canadians so that they can have the details right away. Obviously, the Liberals have a terrible fiscal record that they are ashamed of. I believe that's why they're not participating in the very process that they themselves set up. Even at that, though, we know that Canadians can't trust anything that Justin Trudeau is promising. He made specific, concrete promises in the last election campaign that he had no intention of keeping, that he broke those promises. He's lied to Canadians about his role in the SNC-Lavalin affair. He continues to lie to Canadians. He's continuing to spread falsehoods about his ability to waive cabinet confidences as it relates to the RCMP and their relationship in this scandal. So even at the end of the day, even at the end of this campaign, even when they put their platform out, what I hear from Canadians, that they don't trust Justin Trudeau. He's not as advertised. They know he's not going to follow through with any of his commitments. Oui, mais nous sommes très contents avec le processus pour notre campagne. Je crois que c'est important pour les Canadiens d'avoir les détails au même temps que les annonces sont faites. C'est mieux pour les Canadiens d'évaluer les promesses des campagnes. C'est intéressant que le gouvernement, le Parti libéral, ne suive pas le processus qu'il a introduit. Mais je crois qu'à la fin du jour, les Canadiens ne peuvent pas avoir confiance dans les chiffres de libéral, dans Justin Trudeau lui-même, parce qu'il n'était pas celui qu'il prétendait être. Il a brisé beaucoup des promesses de la campagne de 2015. Il a menti à Canadiens de son rôle dans l'affaire de SNC-Lavalin. Et j'ai entendu souvent que les gens réalisent que Justin Trudeau ne suit pas ce qu'il prétendait d'être.
And on the Quebec Premier's election wish list, as Prime Minister, would you allow Quebec to have full and complete control over refugees and family reunification?
What we've said in the past is that we are prepared to sit down with the province of Quebec and examine how a Conservative government can work with the provincial government to ensure that the immigration system meets the needs of Quebecers. I note that one specific proposal that I've heard that I believe that we can accomplish is the duplication on labor market opinions as it relates to temporary foreign workers. That's something that I'm very interested in pursuing. There are other aspects of Monsieur Legault's letter that I think Conservatives can absolutely commit to, including ensuring that Quebecers have to fill out only one income tax return. That's something that Quebecers have asked for, and that's something we're definitely prepared, not just prepared to, but we're committed to delivering.
En français.
Oui. Alors, nous avons toujours dit que nous sommes ouverts à travailler avec le gouvernement du Québec pour donner plus d'autonomie de le système d'immigration pour assurer que le système peut répondre aux besoins de la province de Québec. Il y a un problème avec la main-d'œuvre au Québec au présent et une des requêtes que j'ai entendues partout au Québec, c'est d'éliminer la duplication pour les formulaires pour les travailleurs temporaires. Alors, nous sommes ouverts à discuter les choses comme ça. Il y a des autres aspects de la lettre de M. Legault, comme son demande d'éliminer une des deux rapports d'impôt. Et nous avons commis de travailler avec M. Legault pour assurer que les Québécois ne devront pas remplir deux, mais seulement un rapport d'impôt unique.
Good morning, Mia Rabson from the Canadian Press. You've talked a lot about asserting federal jurisdiction, getting pipelines built, getting to a yes. How does asserting federal jurisdiction get you over the court challenges and that stopped in many ways the Trans Mountain Pipeline? There's another court challenge. How does just asserting federal jurisdiction actually get you to a yes when there's courts that are saying that you have to pass certain bars?
That's an excellent question, because you are right to point out that in many cases the courts have found that this Liberal government have not engaged in the Indigenous consultations properly. And so what I would say to that is twofold. One, on the consultation process, it's about having a robust, engaged process right from the beginning. And that means, as I called on this government to do, establishing a personal representative of the minister to have robust and dynamic consultation processes, to and then so that we can show the courts that we have fulfilled the Government of Canada's obligations under the duty to consult. The second thing, and this is something that is so frustrating for people who are out of work in the energy sector, it's about fast-tracking some of the questions that have been raised by people who oppose the project, fast-tracking those cases to the Supreme Court, referring those types of jurisdictional questions to the Supreme Court right away so that we can get certainty. Instead of watching these court cases move slowly up and up, being appealed, we would have taken that directly to get finality on those decisions. And take this opportunity to point out, it was extremely disappointing for all Canadians who recognize that our economic well-being depends on a thriving energy sector, that this government failed to stand up for itself, really, in the Trans Mountain case, failed to submit any types of support for that case as it was working its way through court. Oui. Alors, il y a deux aspects de cette question. C'est une très bonne question. Le premier est d'assurer que le gouvernement prend ses obligations pour la consultation avec les Premières Nations sérieusement, que les consultations sont dynamiques, pas seulement un beau geste. J'ai commis à avoir un représentant personnel du ministre pour assurer que les consultations sont correctes et atteignent le niveau que la Cour suprême a établi. La deuxième chose, c'est d'assurer que tous les cas sont référés aux Cour suprême immédiatement lorsqu'on peut avoir la finalité et pas avoir l'obligation de voir les années des appels et des choses comme ça, d'avoir les questions réglées immédiatement alors que le gouvernement fédéral peut répondre.
You've said many times you will not reopen the abortion debate. It's a similar position to the former Conservative government, but that government also placed limitations on international aid funding for organizations that did provide abortions internationally. Would a Conservative government put the same limitations on going forward?
As I said, nothing has changed on this issue for a Conservative government. We will not reopen this debate. This is something that we've been very clear on, and that it continues to be our position.
En français.
Oui, rien n'a changé pour notre parti. Un gouvernement fédéral conservateur ne va pas réouvrir ce débat, et alors rien n'a changé sur cet enjeu.
Good morning, Mr. Scheer. Theo Argydas, Bloomberg News. Since we're talking about corporate handouts today, last November, the Liberal government introduced some very expensive capital cost allowance measures for businesses to invest. If you become Prime Minister, will you maintain those allowances for capital costs?
We will maintain the types of competitive tax policies that ensure that we are attracting investment from around the world to create jobs here in Canada. That is the core message of today. It's about making sure that government policy encourages growth here in Canada and measures that we know we have to take here to make sure that Canada is competitive as it relates to other jurisdictions who are making similar moves. We will absolutely maintain those types of initiatives.
And of the $7 billion in subsidies that you mentioned, are all on the table in a review? Or are there any subsidies that you think are actually, good?
Well, one of the things that we will accomplish is having a better understanding of exactly what exists under government. Right now, there is such a myriad of programs under many different departments without any clear direction or mandate in many of them. And one of the things that this review will allow us to do is have a better understanding, a better evaluation of the programs that exist. As I mentioned, we are going to ensure that regional development agencies are there, are strong, are robust in the regions in which that they operate, and that they will be run by a minister who actually comes from that region. And so we will continue to ensure that where there are strategic industries or integrated supply chains or the types of industrial research benefits that do exist under certain types of government agreements, that those continue, but that we have a better understanding of all the different types of programs, because we are talking about billions and billions of dollars. And so often, as I mentioned, no evaluation of the impact that is actually made on Canadians, no evaluation of whether or not jobs are actually created or protected here in Canada. That's what this review is aimed at doing, so that we can put that money back in the pockets of hardworking Canadians. Oui, alors c'est clair que J'ai été clair que notre gouvernement va continuer d'appuyer les agences de développement régional et on va assurer que les agences sont dirigées par les députés qui viennent de les régions qu'ils représentent. Et c'est clair aussi qu'avec cette revue, on peut déterminer c'est quoi l'amont exact que le gouvernement dépense dans les programmes comme ça. Et on va établir un critère et des évaluations pour assurer que les dépenses des contribuables actuellement créées ou protègent les jobs ici au Canada. Ce n'est pas clair à ce moment avec beaucoup de dépenses. Il y a des exemples où les bénéficiaires d'argent, le gouvernement, n'a pas de le demander. Alors, nous sommes confiants qu'on peut trouver 1,5 milliard de dollars des épargnants qui va nous permettre de mettre cet argent directement dans les poches des Canadiens.
Good morning, Mr. Scheer. Olivia Stefanovich from CBC News. Would you commit to never giving Bombardier any money?
I think I know a lot of Canadians were concerned and outraged when they saw that Justin Trudeau gave Bombardier hundreds of millions of dollars without any assurances that money would go to keeping jobs in Canada. Very outraged when they saw the bonuses that were paid out to executives at Bombardier. What we're saying here today is that the types of grants or loan write-offs that don't protect jobs, that don't keep jobs in Canada, or that don't create jobs here in Canada, would be eliminated because they are not a good use of taxpayers' dollars. The types of strategic innovation funds or the types of programs that do accomplish that goal, all Canadian companies will continue to be able to benefit from. But we're going to go through these types of programs with a careful eye to make sure that your hard-earned tax dollar is not going to line the pockets of highly profitable companies or to benefit shareholders or to go to other countries to benefit job growth and job creation in other countries. That's the criteria that we're going to establish here today. Oui, je sais que tous les Canadiens étaient choqués quand Justin Trudeau a donné des millions de dollars à Bombardier pour les autres dirigeants à l'utiliser pour les bonis pour lui-même. Et Justin Trudeau n'avoir aucune assurance que les emplois vont être protégés et rester ici au Canada. Et ça, c'est exactement ce qu'on dit aujourd'hui, que l'argent qui allait à les compagnies très profitables pour les hauts dirigeants, pour les actionnaires ou pour quitter le pays, ça c'est le sort de programme qu'on cible aujourd'hui. Mais les compagnies comme Bombardier peuvent toujours utiliser les autres programmes qui ont les clairs résultats pour le développement ou la croissance économique ici au Canada.
So just to clarify, it is possible that your government would give money to
Well, when we're talking about things like strategic industries or integrated supply chains like the aerospace sector, which have a variety of programs that do have an impact on ensuring that Canadian companies can stay competitive as it relates to global competitors, then all Canadian companies, including Bombardier, would be eligible for that. But what we're talking about here today is the types of, multi-million-dollar loans that get written off, or the types of grants to companies that aren't used to create or protect jobs here in Canada. Instead, they benefit the executives, they benefit the shareholders, or in many cases, in some of the cases I've listed here today, leave the country. I don't think Canadians, hardworking Canadians, want to see their hard-earned tax dollar go to those sorts of things, and that's exactly what this review is about.
Would you qualify the auto bailouts that the former Tory government gave out as misplaced corporate welfare?
Well, again, what we saw there was a collapse of a sector-wide collapse of a North American integrated supply chain that during the height of the global recession, and that was not a one-off to any one particular company. It certainly was integral in keeping jobs here in Canada. What we're talking about here today, as I mentioned, multi-million-dollar loan write-offs to wealthy families, $12 million to Loblaws to replace freezers, $40 million for BlackBerry that the CEO of BlackBerry said they didn't even ask for, $1.6 billion of taxpayers' money to the oil and gas industry that they didn't ask for. What people in the oil and gas sector want is a regulatory process that gets pipelines built so that they can go back to doing what they've always done, which is use private sector investment for that industry to grow. That's what we're talking about here today, getting back to that type of economy here in Canada.
Hi, Dan Tackman with CBC Hamilton. So obviously steel is a massive employer here. The Liberal government seems to be quite proud of the way they handled kind of those retaliatory tariffs. How would your government protect Canadian steelworkers here in Hamilton from similar steps being taken by other trade partners?
Well, I don't know why Justin Trudeau would be proud of what he did on the steel file. It took him it took him months to get those tariffs lifted. He signed a deal on NAFTA, took concession after concession after concession, accepted a weakened NAFTA than what he started off with, and at the end of that, did not get steel and aluminum tariffs dealt with under the NAFTA negotiations. It took him a great deal of time, which put tremendous strain on steel companies here in Canada. We've also heard from representatives of the steel industry that they are very frustrated at the way the government has handled the programs that were meant to support them because of the retaliatory tariffs, and that the funds that were collected under the retaliatory tariffs have not been adequately provided to the very companies that were affected by it. So I can assure you that a Conservative government, I come from Regina, there's a large steel plant in my riding that makes specifically pipelines. We will absolutely support our steel industry by getting our energy sector back up onto its feet, and by dealing with Donald Trump from a position of strength instead of accepting all these concessions. And at the end of the day, accepting a deal on steel that really does give a lot of control over that to the Americans, that they can be reimposed at the drop of a hat. So these are the types of things that we would work on to strengthen Canada's steel industry here in Canada. Oui, je ne sais pas pourquoi Justin Trudeau est fier de son bilan sur l'acier. Il a échoué de régler les tarifs pendant les négociations de l'ALENA. Il a donné concession après concession à Donald Trump, et les tarifs sur l'acier et l'aluminium restaient pour plusieurs mois. Ça a eu un impact négatif sur les industries. Notre gouvernement va appuyer le secteur acier par rénover, appuyer aussi notre secteur énergétique, parce que beaucoup d'acier allait dans le secteur énergétique. Je viens de Regina, il y a une usine d'acier à Regina qui construit les pipelines pour le secteur énergétique. Alors on va continuer d'appuyer notre secteur acier partout au Canada.
Okay, just on that, the NDP, the USW, the United Steelworkers, have supported the NDP's climate change plan, saying it supports both industry and jobs and the environment. How would your government walk that line, supporting workers and supporting the environment? You're talking about pipelines and things like that.
Well, one of the things that makes many industries in Canada much more difficult to operate under is the carbon tax. And by eliminating the carbon tax, we will make sure that companies that operate here in Canada are more competitive as it relates to other countries that don't have carbon taxes. We will also get pipelines built again, which again, a great deal of steel is required for those types of big projects. And we will we'll create a framework for investment in technology and not taxes. So that means that Canadian companies can benefit from innovation, from research and development, from the new types of products that will come from things like the Green Patent Tax Credit and the Green Expansion Accelerator. Those are things that support investments in technology, and the steel industry will benefit greatly from that, while at the same time inventing the new types of products, the new types of technologies that will be required to lower greenhouse gas emissions. Oui, alors notre vrai plan pour l'environnement a des aspects pour concentrer sur la technologie et pas les impôts. Et notre fonds pour l'investissement vert va appuyer les industries comme le secteur acier, et aussi introduire les nouvelles technologies qui va nous aider à réduire nos émissions. Alors, c'est clair, avec un emphasis sur la technologie, pas sur les taxes, les travailleurs du secteur acier vont gagner.
Hi, I'm Mike Pearson from Hamilton Mountain News. How do you cast aside the negative comparisons to Doug Ford and the perception that a federal Conservative government would slash program spending and transfer spending?
Mm-hmm. Well, we made a very clear engagement on transfers. Transfers for healthcare, education, and other important social programs will only ever increase under a Conservative government. We've made that commitment. It is our guarantee. We'll maintain the current formula, which means increases of at least 3% every single year. And when GDP and economic growth are higher than that, those transfers will be higher as well. If we want to talk about negative comparisons, the people of Ontario know what happens when scandal-plagued Liberal governments are able to run deficits and raise taxes for years and years and years. It creates exactly the type of mess that the people in Ontario saw just recently. And the very same architects of the Kathleen Wynne, Dalton McGuinty governments are now working for Justin Trudeau and implementing the exact same policies. And so the people of Ontario know that on October 21st, they have the ability to limit the damage to those types of disastrous policies to just one term, and so that we can limit the damage to important social programs. And I believe that they are going to make that choice.
Just to follow up, should the opportunity arise during the campaign, do you think it would be a benefit to do some campaigning with Mr. Ford?
You know, we have our campaign plan. It involves making exciting announcements about how we're going to make life more affordable and how we're going to lower taxes and make sure that people can live out their goals and achieve their dreams. That is what our campaign is all about. I've had a tremendous amount of pleasure traveling across the country, meeting with people who voted Liberal in 2015, regret that decision, and are now voting Conservative in 2019. You can feel it at the doors. You can feel it at the events. People are excited for a change on October 21st, and that's exactly what we're going to give them. Thanks very much, Erin. Merci beaucoup.